Hey, what's up, smart singles, smart individuals, and smart couples? Welcome back to another episode of the Relationship School's Smart Couple Podcast. I'm your host, Jayson Gaddis, and I'm grateful to be here once again. I just had my birthday and also traveled to Vancouver, British Columbia for a little summer vacation, as well as I spoke at the Masters of Universe Summit, which was led by Mark Groves, who's been on the podcast a couple of times, and that went awesome. So thanks everybody that was there for coming out. Super cool to have you there and meet you in person, some of you. And then a week later, I did a little event at Stretch Yoga in Chinatown in Vancouver. And we talked about relationship as a path. So thanks also to you folks, you Canadians that came out for that. Really fun and intense a little bit, right? Always learning can be intense, confronting. And I'm grateful you came out. So thanks, guys. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. We are about growing through relationship pain and adversity and into relationship fulfillment. Why on earth would you want to be in a long-term relationship that sucked? I don't get it. You know, most people leave those relationships or they stay stuck because they're too scared. They don't want to be alone. So notice where you are. And again, if you're listening and you want to learn some stuff, awesome. This is the place. You're in the right place. Okay, in this episode, we have a couple that I did some coaching with, Heather and Thomas. And it's about a 35-minute session. And so it's pretty short. I didn't have a ton of time, but I moved the needle a little bit for them and got them to listen to each other in a more effective way and understand each other a little better, which, by the way, goes a long way. So you'll notice in this simple coaching session how far we got. And some couples will spend years without getting this kind of support, which boggles my mind. So if you can identify with any part of this couple's story, we've got good news for you. Okay, we're about to begin our level 2 coaches training, where our coaches here at the Relationship School work with couples like you for $25 a session. And all you have to do is commit to 6 sessions. So this will probably be the most affordable couples coaching you get and that you can find out there, and it's probably going to be the best. Our coaches are really looking deeply at themselves. They've just spent a year or more, some of them, training here at the Relationship School, totally studying relationships, making this a huge priority in their own life. They're getting results, and they want to help you get a result. So in this episode, we've got a contest, all right, that I'm just giving you a little flavor here of what's possible with this couple. And if you're trying to go it alone or just trying to improve your relationship through this podcast, and maybe you're improving a little bit, why not get some additional support by way of meeting with a coach, a relationship coach, every other week, right? Twice a month for 3 months. Just try it. 6 sessions. Commit to 6 sessions, okay? So here's the deal. We haven't opened that up yet, but we will soon, where you can just apply. It's free. You don't have to do anything. You just apply and you get paired with a coach, and it's first come, first serve. So look for that email. You got to be on our email list. But right now we've got an even bigger deal, which is if you want support as a couple, you can win a free ticket to the Relationship School's 9-month training. A free ticket. That's it. That's amazing. Okay, this is a $6,000 value for free. But here's the deal. You've got to come with your partner. One of you pays, so it's buy one, get one free. I've never done this before. I'm psyched to offer it. And you both have to do the work all the way and finish the course in its entirety. You have to completely commit. Whether you get divorced or stay together and deepen, it doesn't matter. You've got to both finish, all right? Because we're going to teach you how to work through anything together. And we're going to show you real time during 9 months how to do that. So it's buy one, get one free. So another way to look at this is for both of you, it's $3,000. It's half price. Everyone else will be paying about $6,000. So it's a big investment, and that's why I want motivated people. People that aren't motivated, that want to point the finger at other people, usually don't sign up for this course. This is for people who are like, oh my God, I'm scared, I'm nervous, let's do it. I think we can do it. And you invest in yourself because this is one of the most important areas of your life. Why not have a secure home base and learn how to do that so that you can face the big challenges in your life together, all right? So I'm going to include the contest details because I don't want to bore you with all of those details here at the end, all right, of the podcast. So you got to listen to the very end to get those details, and it will be in the show notes, right? If you want to just skip to the show notes and apply right now. But basically, you'll have to record a video of yourselves, and you'll each have to apply for the DPIR course, okay? And then the last thing is you just have to pay $25 total between the two of you. $25. That's it. And if you lose, let's say you don't get chosen, that $25 goes toward your first session of couples coaching given to you by our relationship coaches. All right, everybody follow that? Awesome. So here's a little taste of what's possible with this couple, Heather and Thomas. And Heather and Thomas, I really love you guys. I appreciate you guys stepping up to serve the community this way. I asked them permission. Do I have your permission to share this on the podcast? They said yes. They both felt into it and felt like it would be a good idea. I can't tell you how many people you're serving right now, Heather and Thomas, by doing this. It's courageous. Most couples want to stay in hiding about their relationship problems, which doesn't really serve anybody. Some couples will even hide this from their kids, these kind of struggles. And I recommend, remember, fighting in front of your kids because then you show them the way. That's only for people, though, that are actually going to learn how to fight in front of your kids. If you're kind of a disaster, it makes sense why you would hide. But it's okay to be a disaster in learning because otherwise kids won't learn how you did it. You need to model how to do it day in and day out, all right? So you'll notice what I do here with this couple. It's fairly straightforward. And again, I only had a limited amount of time, so we didn't go super deep, but we got traction, which is what matters here. All right, so I hope you enjoy this. Let's get right into it and listen to Thomas and Heather and them revealing their hearts and their vulnerability here. And then stay tuned to the end for your action step as well as applying for this buy one, get one free, deeper 9-month training and relationship coaching as a couple. This is just for the couples, of course. Okay, thanks, guys. Thomas and Heather, and how long have you guys been together?
5 years. We've been married since October.
Nice. How's it going?
Good most of the time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, so Heather, obviously you won this contest. Congrats again.
Thank you. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for putting the effort in and just being a follower and, a person who engages. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Sweet. So what can I be helpful with today?
Okay. So about 3 months ago, 3 years ago, roughly, I kind of started expressing to him that I felt like communication was kind of an issue between us. I'm a very communicative person, express a lot of emotions, and it's taken me a decade to get here. I used to be one that had all this stuff happening in here, but couldn't get it out of my mouth.
Okay.
So we started a business together about 2.5 years ago, and we had previously worked together in a kitchen, and I had seen how he reacted under stress in the kitchen to other coworkers and knew that if he treated me that way, it would affect how I felt about him, and expressed that to him.
Okay.
So went to counseling before we opened the truck for a short while before we lost our insurance, and nothing really much happened there. Over the course of the 3 years, we have had our issues with the communication where I've expressed that need. And I feel like it had been he didn't really know how to work on it. So whenever I expressed it, I feel like he shut down because he didn't know what to do to make
Okay, let me ask him, are you like, what do you think she's saying to you right now? What need is it that she's talking about?
Well, I feel like she needs me to kind of be more communicative, but I struggle because I go from 0 to stress in about 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And I go straight to at least a 7 in that situation. And when we're working, I get super focused and I get super like, this is what's going on. Or if something gets messed up, it needs to be fixed immediately. Or I'm not happy about my performance, or whatever the situation is. And
are you saying in those moments you get quiet? Like you don't communicate, or you just turn into a jerk and you start yelling at everybody?
It's one or the other.
Yeah. So generally in the past, I turn into a jerk and start yelling at people. But she's my wife, fiance, girlfriend at the time. Like, I don't want to treat her that way, so I would just be super quiet. Because basically, in my mind, it was, would you rather get yelled at, or would you rather me not say anything?
Yeah. Okay.
So, but then I get to a point where I just work through the stress by, I don't know if pushing it away is the right word, but essentially that's at least what it looks like.
Yeah, you kind of stuff it because you don't want to lash out and be mean to people,
Right.
but it's not necessarily. So maybe it's a step in the right direction, but it's now you're not communicating, which people feel that your vibe if you've got porcupine quills coming out. It's felt.
So, and I think, like she said, like 10 years ago, she was in that, so I have two things happening a lot of times. Either I struggle to figure out the situation or what to say, or I have the words in my head. I just can't get them out. And until it gets to a point where they only come out one way, and it's with yelling.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much yelling, but she's pushed me to a point where now they just explode out.
Okay. Is he on the right track here, Heather?
Yes.
Okay. So we're identifying the issue, it seems like.
Yes.
Yeah.
About 3 months ago, I approached him because I was feeling like all the nice ways I had tried to explain to him how big of a need this was for me wasn't happening, and it was to the point where I can't do this anymore if something doesn't change. And so I basically approached him and I was like, I need you to hear me right now. Like, I was married previously, and by the time I approached him with I can't anymore, I was done. It was too far gone. He heard me then.
In the previous marriage.
Yes.
Yep.
So I was like, I need you to hear me now, because this is the path that I'm on. And if you don't hear me now, it's going to be over. You spend all this time putting effort into learning about other things that you're interested in, but I've expressed for 3 years very clearly that this is something that's super important to me and a need that I have, and I don't feel like you're taking it seriously. So he shut down for about 3 days, and I just let him go, and he listened to some podcasts, and he came across yours. And so when he came back to me and was like, I found this podcast, I'd like us to listen to it together. I've been listening to it on my own. So we started listening to it together and separately, talking about it. I feel like there's been a lot of improvement. But we've been super stressed lately because we just opened our second business together. And, correct me if I'm wrong, but you admitted that you were kind of reverting a little bit back into previous.
Yeah. And hold on, do you guys have, so now you have two businesses together, or the first one didn't make it and you're starting a
No,
second one?
we have two.
We have two.
Okay, so that you did well enough in the first one that you're starting another one.
Yes.
Yes. So we own
Awesome.
a truck together.
Congratulations, by the way.
So thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
We own a food truck together. So we're literally together almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in a teeny tiny metal box or prepping together. So I feel like that adds.
What are you thinking, guys?
Right. I feel like that adds a whole nother level because
It does. Yeah, you need space
yes.
from each other.
Well,
Yeah.
and like prior to this, like we didn't have a lot of friends. When we got together, pretty much my whole life switched into us, which is fine. I loved it then. Then we started working together, so we didn't have friends outside of work. So it was just the two of us for the longest time. And then now we have friends, but they're all couple friends. Like we still really don't have that separateness.
Okay. Well, there's obviously we can do stuff about that, right? You guys just need to change a few things. So you've identified the problem, which is you're kind of in each other's grill a lot. So Thomas, you understand you have an issue with volume shutting down. That upsets your partner.
Yes.
It can be upsetting to other people. Sounds like that you work with. So, and then that's like one issue is just like Thomas's sort of way. I'm guessing that like, I want to get more of how that impacts you. And then we can talk about this sort of taking space thing. So when he gets that way, Heather, what happens to you?
Well, this is actually something I am in counseling on my own as well to kind of start working through more of my own stuff.
Yeah.
And it's actually something that she felt I should talk about in this session with you because I haven't expressed this because I don't want it to come across as an empty threat or manipulative. But she felt it was important to express, preferably with a third party. But
Can you tell him?
I stayed for way too long in my previous marriage, and every time that it happens, I get in this intense internal battle with myself of whether I should stay or whether I should leave and whether or not.
Try to look at him.
Whether or not I'm just fooling myself into thinking that the change is gonna really happen if it's something you really care about. Especially when we have like set things up in place for us to do when these things happen, and I don't feel like the steps are always followed.
I mean, I definitely agree that sometimes the steps are followed, or the steps are not followed. But I do feel like I am trying.
Okay, time out. So let me help you out, Thomas, because right there, but that's just you defending yourself.
Okay.
I know in my marriage that doesn't go well for me. So just trying to save you some time here. See if you can understand. I personally don't understand her yet.
Okay.
I don't know if you do. Like, I don't know why this is such a big deal to her. Do you?
Well, yeah, her ex-husband is.
Tell her. So just to review, I know you've already said it to her, but just tell her and I'll listen.
So I understand that Mark, was super manipulative and super abusive, like verbally mainly and emotionally. And I understand that my actions can sometimes provoke those feelings.
Nice.
That is not my intention.
Wait, before you do that, does it make sense, before you say it's not my intention,
Okay.
Does it make sense to you then why this is upsetting for her?
Yes.
So just tell her how. It makes sense to me because.
And it makes sense to me because it brings up all those feelings, and so like I'm struggling here and I don't know.
Yeah, I'm helping you out. No worries. We gotta go into new territory now.
Okay.
Okay. You'll get a chance to share about your side in a bit, but we just want to really understand hers. Okay. So you're doing great. You're validating her right now. It makes sense because, and just finish that thought.
Because it triggers the past emotional trauma that you felt. And
yeah, which is that like, can you, based on what you've heard about it, the emotional trauma, I mean, even trauma is a strong word, and abuse. So do you know that for her, this is like super uncomfortable, scary, painful territory?
I do know that this was super scary for you, and you tried to leave so many times, and you forced yourself into staying in very uncomfortable situations. And that must have been really, really difficult.
Yep, she's nodding her head. So that's your sign that you're with her. Doing great, man. And then you just ask for confirmation anyway. You just say, am I following you so far?
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just, she's bringing her vulnerability because you're taking responsibility and you're validating her feelings. You're not defending yourself right now. Does it feel like he's with you right now, Heather? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, and that helps me because you're working hard here, Thomas. That helps me understand Heather's perspective a little more. Helps me get her go, oh, okay, gosh, that is scary. So your behavior when you get stressed out starts to mimic her past experiences of men who have hurt her.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then we might, just to take a guess, we might say this tracks all the way to her childhood. So you might just ask her right now, did it start before this other guy? Have you had mean men in your life that were scary and hurtful to you?
I mean, yeah, we talked about my dad.
Okay, so you already know this, right? So then you connect the dots, and you go, okay, it makes even more sense because, and then let her know what you understand about her history.
It makes more sense because I know your dad, especially with all the things with Nikolai and, the way you were brought up, and, he was loud, and stressful. And I love you. Is that right?
Yes.
And so you can sense, if you look in her eyes, you can sense there's a younger Heather here that at times can get really scared, right, by big energy men. It's just like super scary for her. And she wants to have her own bag, right? She doesn't want to put herself in harm's way again.
Right.
Right? Yeah. So Heather, I get that you're just trying to take care of yourself here.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. And your boundaries and standing up for your needs here is one way to do that. You're saying, hey, dude, you got to keep working on this or I might have to leave because it's so scary for me. Yeah. And let me ask you this. This is kind of a, direct question to both you guys, though. Has Thomas ever physically hurt you?
No. No.
Okay. So there's no reason to believe that Thomas is going to physically hurt you.
Correct.
Okay. Has he verbally raised his voice at times and that's hurt you? Okay. And is he call names and is he really mean-spirited, or is it more just like his tone and his anger inside his voice, or what, like help him understand what is the specific thing he does that scares you the most? Or is the most upsetting?
I think it's when you kind of rage and go into the, like, it's twofold, really. I don't know which it is the most, but like when things go wrong and you're raging, and like when the grits pot fell on the floor on Friday, and you're screaming so loud, and you're
Like, can you
at yourself, But it feels so ragey that it might, like, it doesn't feel like you're in control of yourself, and like it might.
So does it remind you of like the times Mark lost control?
Yeah.
And blacked out?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Good. You were great job making that connection, Thomas. And Heather, just so I know, like when you're saying raging and screaming, it's hard for me to picture this guy here raging and screaming. I know we're all capable of that. I am certainly. I know that's possible with Thomas, but like, is that exaggerating, or does that feel like, no, he was screaming at the top of his lungs?
I don't feel like it's exaggerating, especially this specific instance. Like
You lost your marbles a little bit.
Yeah. Like I felt I was in control, but I had that rage inside, and the best way at the time I felt to get it out was to just vocally let it out. Like, let that charge through.
Okay. Got it. And you did it at her or over to the side at a wall or something, and it just scared her? Like, what do you mean?
The first time I was inside the truck, it wasn't at her, but we were in close proximity. The second time I left the truck and went outside and did it.
And then, but then you came back and you were like screaming at me, that in case I didn't notice, you were frustrated.
Okay, so he was frustrated with your behavior, something you did or didn't do.
No, he was frustrated at his own behavior, but he was screaming it at me.
Got it.
Because at that point I was so raged, I had no other volume level, and I was letting her know that it wasn't her I was frustrated with, because it was an accident that was my fault. So I was mad at myself.
Got it. And was that clear when he communicated that, Heather, or not?
It was clear that he was mad at himself.
Okay. But still hard for you to like put up a filter and like try to filter that out, right? It's still going in some level because it's like the same energy.
And I have previously set a boundary that if that happens, I'm going to get off the truck, or you need to get off the truck. It's hard for me to enforce that boundary, though, because it's our business. And if I leave the truck, service isn't going to happen. And it's our business. Like, it's not.
Okay. Well, let's get to problem solving in a minute. I think it's a good road to go down is, okay, we need a plan here for when this goes down again, because it's likely going to happen again. Thomas will take his time getting better at this, and you'll take your time, whatever pace you guys have to like work through this, but there's going to be some time right before it's like a little better. So we need some room there. But just in the interest of time, I just want to ask you a question, Heather. Do you understand why he flies off the handle?
When he flies off the handle, he almost always says that he's an idiot, or
But do you understand why like there's some people that can control their temper. He can't in certain moments. Like, why? Do you know why that is about him?
I don't.
Okay, that's interesting, right? You don't even know, and you're his partner. You've known him for how long?
We've known each other for like 8 years.
Yeah.
Right. And do you feel like she knows you here or not?
It's hard because sometimes I feel like I don't know myself here.
Okay. Well, let's work to understand you a little bit more here, okay? So with genuine curiosity in your heart, like picture this little kid here. Thomas is like a little boy, Heather, or a hurt teenager, or some hurt 25-year-old, or whatever he is in the course of his life. Like, ask him from genuine curiosity, like, what is it that where you go from 0 to 60, what happened to you in your past, or what kind of environment did you grow up in where that, like, whoa, like, when did this start? How old were you? Just get curious about him for a minute.
Do you know when that was? Can you put your finger on it and express it to me?
I really am not sure. Like, I've tried to think about it. I've tried to figure it out. It's as long as I can remember. I don't know.
So let me ask some more questions. So I'm just going to follow my curiosity, Heather, right? Because in my experience, I might have some more ideas based on other people who have had similar behaviors, right? So I might, okay, you don't know when it started. Do you remember it as long as you can? That tells us that maybe he grew up in a home where this is just how you act. Or my dad was like this, or my mom, and I watched it.
So funny enough, we were visiting my dad 2 weekends ago, and my parents are divorced. I spent, every other weekend with my dad, a couple weeks a year. We had a good relationship. My mom and I had a good relationship, but we were telling a story to my dad, and I was like, we told him about a freak out I had, and he's like, yeah, that's exactly like me. And like, I don't want to put the cause on genetics, but there's only been one incident that I've had with my dad where I've seen him act like that.
How old were you?
And we were out to dinner one night, and he got drunk, and I didn't say the right thing or something, and he like grabbed my face.
That would be really, really, really scary.
Yeah. Stay with it, man.
It ended shortly after that. A guy from another table pulled him off of me. And his girlfriend at the time took me outside and calmed everybody down. And then it just kind of ended there.
About how old were you?
That's what I was just about to ask.
Yeah, great.
12, 13.
Okay.
Did he talk to you at all about it afterwards?
I honestly don't know. I don't remember specifically if he ever spoke to me about that incident or not.
All right, but that's one time you remember that level of intensity in your dad.
Mm-hmm.
And he got physically aggressive with you.
Yes. And that is the only time I ever remember. Other than that, we, had a pretty great relationship. He's very strict and very, there was aggression when my parents were together.
Right.
Not like just, he was a very strict household.
So when he was strict and you didn't kind of get it quite right, what would happen or what would he say?
Most of the time I would be grounded or whatever. It did happen. I was aggressive prior to that, actually. Now that I think about it. I would get spanked or whatever. He had a belt that he would spank us with. Like, he was very corporal punishment, and like, that's how he was raised. That's how he raised us. But it was very, this is the punishment. You did something wrong. You're getting punishment.
Right. But just to kind of reality check you there, spanking and belts is, to a young boy, is super intense.
Right.
It's very scary. So I'm not taking a moral stance of right or wrong. Yeah. I'm just saying, to a young boy, that's terrifying. That's why it works, right? Is fear. Right. You're going to get the belt if you don't do it right. That's why corporal punishment kind of works to some degree. It kind of works, but it just scares the living shit out of little kids, right?
Right.
So that's in your history. We know that, and you were on the receiving end of that, and then you got aggressive one time. Sounds like you were saying.
Yeah, I had some issues in school. I went through a year where I got really bad grades. I was actually grounded for 9 months straight at one point because if it wasn't a B, if it was lower than a B, you were grounded. Like that was the rule. And
Wow.
I was struggling in a class. I couldn't get the grade up. And my report card came home and I'd already been grounded for 6 months and, the punishment came through. I was grounded for a year. I went to my room, I lashed out, I picked up a chair and I threw it at the wall and put a hole in the wall about that big that I
Ouch.
was grounded even longer for
I was
and
just gonna
fixed
say.
the wall myself.
Oh man. How old were you about then?
Probably 8 because it was before my parents got divorced.
When did they get divorced?
When I was 10, I went on a trip for 5th grade after my 5th grade year, and I came home and they told me. So it was between 5th and 6th grade year.
And do you remember, was that hard on you or was it like no big deal?
I mean, it was hard in the beginning for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I had issues through 6th grade, went to counselors, got in a little bit of trouble at school, but not too much.
Okay.
Um,
So Heather, are we starting to get his world a little bit, where this comes from?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're just like, we're getting enough of a picture, Thomas, that it's like, wow, you had a lot of stuff you went through as a kid.
Yeah.
And Thomas, because you're strong and you're a guy, you might be like, oh, it was no big deal. But over here, I just want to say that all of that is a very big deal. And it just has an impact, right? It's not, again, right or wrong. It just has an impact
right.
on a sensitive little kid. It's like, ooh, mom and dad getting a divorce at 10, grounded for a year. I don't know anybody that gets grounded for a year. That's intense. And then I'm imagining messages you might have heard, like because you didn't get B's or you were bad or dumb, or did you remember any verbal messages you got that were hurtful?
I mean, they know because they never. It was just B's were the expectations, and
Well, you're hard on yourself though, right?
yes.
Yeah. So what kind of things do you tell yourself?
Um, I mean, I don't know what I told myself back then, but I mean
No,
nowadays,
now, what do you tell yourself now?
I mean that I sometimes I tell myself I'm not good at what I do. That I'm an idiot.
Right. And you weren't born telling yourself that, right?
No,
Right. So where did you get those messages, do you think?
my parents.
Most likely, right? Or siblings or the kids on the playground, somewhere you got those messages. And
Right.
you decided to believe them and tell yourself that. Those are lies. You're not an idiot. There's nothing wrong with you, but some part of you still believes that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is you guys both have an inner life that has experienced a lot of stress, and so it creates mixed messages and confusion about who you are and what your worth is and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So again, Thomas, we're just doing this to because I want to understand and Heather wants to understand, where does this aggression come from, man? What's the big deal here? Like, why do you go from 0 to 60? And then again, if I'm thinking of a kid that grew up with belts and grounding for a year and spanking, and I'm thinking that's the groundwork that gets laid that creates a man who flies off the handle.
Gotcha. I mean, that makes sense. And I mean, he had the same parents essentially. Like he parented he parented me like he was parented. Like his parents were even stricter. So I mean, that's probably where he got it from.
Yeah, absolutely. It just gets handed down. If you had kids, do you have kids?
Yes.
She has
I have
2.
2.
Okay. Well, and if they were your kids and you were with them all day, every day, they're going to trigger you, and you might actually do that to them. You might actually like get really aggro.
Her. I mean, before I met her, like I would have for 100% parented them the way my dad parented me. I mean, she's shown me a whole new way to parent.
Awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, she's a really good mom.
Mhm. Sweet. So, okay. So now let's come back. We just have a few minutes left. Is it helpful to just kind of explore each other's history just for a minute to like
Yeah.
help each other go, oh, you're not just acting like a jerk. Like this actually comes from somewhere.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
okay, cool. When we truly understand our partner, guys, they're not actually not crazy. It becomes normal. Oh, that's normal based on where you grew up from, where you come from. Like, got it. That makes so much sense. It doesn't make it okay. All right. We're not saying again, this is
Right.
okay, this isn't okay. We're just saying it makes sense. Makes sense that Heather gets scared given her history, and it makes sense that you probably also get scared. And then you also like to be in control and you don't like to be judged as it's not perfect or good enough or whatever. And then you fly off the handle, you know?
Right.
Anyway, you want to know your trigger points, guys, because then you can start to work on them. If it's sort of a moving target and you're like, I don't know, I just get mad, it's going to be really hard to like change that.
Gotcha.
But if you're like, there's a specific thing that happens in the restaurant or in the food truck where when this happens and I don't do X, Y, and Z right, I lose my shit. Or when one of my employees or staff people does this and it's not quite right, I basically turn into my father and I project my little guy onto them and I basically want to spank them.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So again, we're just trying to gain awareness because with awareness comes choice. You have more choices when we sort of shine the spotlight on, oh, this is some of my patterns here and this is where it comes from.
So moving forward, because we've been listening a lot to podcasts and we've kind of been like, okay, are we at a place where we should go to counseling or should we just start here where we're listening and trying to like, because he said when we first started, like, I don't feel like I have any tools in my tool belt. So he's like slowly like getting the tools and whatnot, like focus on that for a while first and see how far that gets us.
Yeah. So a couple things. So you guys are also, let me come back to the space thing. That was what I forgot to talk about. So you guys are in each other's space a lot, right?
Yeah.
And that's no problem. There's a lot of people that can do this well. You're business owners, you're lovers, you're friends, you're everything to each other. And you're probably a little too emotionally fused.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. So it just, all it means is I need to, those couple friends you guys have now, you know, go hang out with the girls some night or at least one of them that you feel drawn to, reach out and say, hey, do you want to go get coffee? You do the same thing with one of the guys. Hey, do you want to go to coffee or get a beer or whatever the kind of hobbies you're into? Like go do that just to get a little space. And then if you don't want to do that because you're kind of introverted and stuff, like that's okay. But you got to do it for yourself then. Go do something alone, like art, watch a movie, read a book. But just get away from the other person but set context, honey. We need to work on differentiation. That's what we're talking about here, space. And so I'm going to do my thing. You do your thing. And let's come back in an hour. Let's come back tonight. And let's not text each other all the time while we're separated because then we're together still.
Right.
Actually, like go no contact for a couple hours and just see how it feels. You know, start experimenting with taking space.
Yeah.
We did that once and we both really, really enjoyed it.
And then it just kind of went away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people need like date nights. You guys need date nights with yourself.
Yes.
Sure.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Okay. So something like that. And then I would work with, I would work with someone as a couple. You always, you can sign up with one of our coaches who work with couples. They'd be great with you guys. If you like someone, that'd be virtual because you guys are,
Okay.
where do you live again?
Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, Florida?
Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can't find anyone locally, I would work with someone virtually, one of our coaches who listens to the podcast and knows the kind of language and tools we teach. If you like that, that can be really nice to support your journey if you like kind of the language and stuff we do here.
Great. I mean, I really do. I
I do
enjoy
too.
the podcast.
Yeah. And we can do that through your website, correct?
Yeah, you can do that. You can, exactly. We have a bunch of coaches there. Most of them will give you guys a free consult for 15 or 30 minutes or so,
Okay.
just to make sure it's a good vibe, good fit. And I would try a couple people and sign on with one of them.
Perfect.
It keeps you accountable too, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I think it's definitely easier. This is the most I feel like you've opened up from any of the talks we've had. So I think a third party kind of helping navigate it.
mm-hmm.
is
And so let them know when, just sharing impact. This is the sharing impact tool. Honey, when you open up, I feel.
when you open up, I feel closer to you and like I know more about what's going on with you and inside your head, why you are who you are today. I appreciate that.
That's sweet. Yeah. I mean, I felt really just both of you guys dropping right into your vulnerability. I'm like, wow, this is when I felt my heart and expanding, and it's inspiring to see you guys willing to work on it like this.
We really appreciate you doing this and putting the contest out there. Like, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And just to challenge you, try to just speak for yourself and not speak for him. Okay.
Oh,
Perfect.
heard that.
So do it again. Do it again.
I really appreciate that you put the contest out there and that you took time out to help us today.
I appreciate it too. We were very excited and looking forward. I was very excited and looking forward to it. Once we found it.
Yeah. New muscles, guys. I.
Oh.
Some couples actually they're a little too stuck in I. You guys are a lot in we. So I is a good practice.
That's trained into me because when we first started the truck, I always said my truck.
Oh, okay. So good context, set and setting. Like if the truck is, hey, this is us, it's our thing. Great. And when you were trying to tease about our issues, use I.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Okay. Great to meet you guys here. Best of luck, and definitely follow up with one of our people.
Awesome.
Thanks,
you so
Jayson.
much.
Okay. See ya. All right. Pretty inspiring, right? Thomas and Heather, thanks again so much. Now, the action step here is to invest in yourself as a couple, right? If you're partnered, this is for you. Consider applying for this contest where you get one of you gets to come to the relationship school for free. The other one pays, the other one comes for free. So it's buy one, get one free. That's a huge deal. That's a $6,000 deal for you. If you're coming as a couple paying full price, you'd be paying $11,000 to $12,000 depending on when you signed up. You are only paying $6,000, but if you spread that over 9 months, it's only a few $100s a month, okay, or 12 months. You're welcome to do a payment plan too. So here's the contest details. All right, there's 3 main things you got to do. One is you got to apply for the relationship school. Okay, we want people that are motivated and are willing to do the work, because that gets you the best result possible. We don't want just anyone that's curious to apply because, this is a big investment of your time, money, and energy. So you got to apply, both of you, separately, all right? So you both need to fill out the application. That's in the show notes. Just click the link. It takes you right to the application, all right? Then you've got to pay in total $25 for you as a couple. Not per person, but $25 for you as a couple. That's your entry fee. And that's the price of one of our relationship couples coaching sessions with one of our level 2 students if you don't get selected. So you're actually not losing any money. You're gaining a free relationship coaching session, or not free, a $25, which is going to be cheaper than any relationship coaching session you've ever had. It's $25 for the 2 of you to have an hour-long session with one of our level 2 relationship coaches, right? And we'll pair you with them. That's if you don't get selected, all right? Pretty huge. And then the third thing is you've got to just record with your phone a 1 to 3 minute selfie video of the 2 of you saying, hey, here's why we're the best couple for this experience. This is why we want to do it. All right. And then you can post that in the Smart Couple Facebook group, or you can just send us an email to info@relationshipschool.net. Okay. 3 things. You got to apply separately. You got to pay $25 total. And then you got to record a selfie video. So this is going to cost you probably 10 minutes of your time. It's going to cost you $25, and you could come out positive $6,000 and a transformational, lifelong, forever altered experience about how relationships work. And you will likely come out stronger as a couple. And you will definitely be stronger as individuals having gone through this journey, because a lot of it is about your own journey with yourself. A lot of self-awareness and self-value, self-worth stuff will increase and deepen in this 9 months. Okay, pretty awesome. And then if you're selected, you've got to be willing to, we want to document you. We want to follow you a little bit with, excuse me, we want to track your journey. Like, how's it going? Ups and downs. We're going to have a few interviews with you along the way, the halfway point, and certainly at the end. Like, how did it go? Are you guys stronger? Did you get divorced? Are you separated now? What happened? And what's the benefit of having done this course? And I guarantee you, you are going to be way more competent in terms of long-term relationship, no matter what happens to your partnership. So to me, this is a no-brainer, guys, to apply for this. All right. I'm going to give you a few days. We'll have until Sunday, the 29th at midnight. All right. Sunday, the 29th of July at midnight. You have to apply to this. All right. So I could not imagine a couple not applying for this. All right. The reason you wouldn't is because you're afraid of what's going to happen, right? You're afraid to go for it. You're afraid to invest in yourself like this. So you're going to come out a winner no matter what happens here, because you're going to grow and it's going to be beautiful. So I strongly encourage you guys to apply. All right, go to the show notes, relationshipschool.net. You can just hit podcast. And this is going to be episode number 205. So find episode number 205, scroll through the show notes, and you'll see these exact instructions. All right, and you have till Sunday, July 29th. Okay, you guys got this. You can do this. And again, how cool was it that Thomas and Heather shared their story, and just one little tweak here and there. Imagine what would happen to Thomas and Heather if they did this for 9 months. Oh my gosh, right? Life-changing. Okay, folks, thanks for listening, and we'll talk soon.